South Park, bigger, longer, and uncut. This animated comedy follows Stan, Kyle, Cartman, and Kenny as they sneak off to see a raunchy Canadian movie and then outrage their parents by swearing at a stuffed bawling figure of Satan. When the kids are punished, they start a mock war against grown-ups, poking fun at censorship and authority. The film caused controversy because it used so many curse words and edgy jokes, even parodying religious figures. Some parents and religious groups were upset by its language and themes. Notably, after South Park mocked Chinese censors on TV, the Chinese government banned South Park entirely, and some other countries with strict media laws avoided showing the movie. The film was edited to get an R rating, but kept most of its shock value. Later, it became a cult hit, known for funny songs and sharp satire. The Prince of Egypt, 1998, USA, DreamWorks. This biblical epic animated film tells the story of Moses, a prince of Egypt who discovers he is actually Hebrew and leads his people to freedom. It is a dramatic musical featuring scenes of plagues and the parting of the Red Sea. The movie was controversial in several Muslim countries because Islamic tradition discourages depicting prophets like Moses in films. For that reason, places like Malaysia, Egypt, and other Islamic states banned it from cinemas. When it came out, religious leaders in those countries objected to seeing a prophet drawn on screen. The film quietly got video releases later in some places, but for years it could not be seen in parts of the Middle East. In the years since, it became a beloved animated classic with Academy Award-winning music, When You Believe, and is often shown freely in Western countries. Anastasia, 1997, USA, Canada, Fox Animation, Don Bluth. This musical adventure imagines a romantic tale of the lost Russian Grand Duchess Anastasia surviving the revolution. In the film, a young orphan teams up with two con artists to find the surviving princess, while a wicked sorcerer named Rasputin causes trouble. Some viewers were unhappy because the real Anastasia Romanov was later made a saint by the Russian Orthodox Church, and the movie's fairy tale ending seemed to upset believers. Russian Orthodox leaders said the film was offensive for mixing history with magic and romance. No official ban was put on the movie in Russia, but many Orthodox Christians criticized it as disrespectful to a martyr. Even decades later, the film was briefly removed from streaming services in Russia after 2022, though not for official censorship reasons. Despite these issues, Anastasia was a big hit elsewhere and remains a popular animated musical. Interesting fact, Don Bluth's studio tried to make this feel like a classic fairy tale, and it helped revive interest in traditional animated adventure films. Feladay, 1994, Germany, directed by Michael Schock. This is a dark mystery animation for grown-ups about a smart house cat named Francis, who investigates a series of brutal cat murders in his neighborhood. The plot involves scary detective work, secret societies of cats, and very graphic scenes, including experiments and violence. Because of its gore and an adult cat love scene, it was considered far too intense for children. In fact, Feladay never got an American theatrical release and was essentially banned or heavily restricted in the US because distributors thought it was too violent and sexual. When it came out in Europe, some animal lovers complained about the graphic imagery. Later, the film gained a cult following on home video. It's now known as one of the few cartoon noir thrillers ever made. Surprising fact, the theme song Cat People was sung by Boy George, making a pop star part of this spooky cat story. Midori, The Girl in the Freak Show, 1992, Japan, directed by Hiroshi Harada. This stop-motion animated film, originally Shoujo Tsubaki, tells the tragic tale of a 12-year-old girl sold into a traveling circus, where the performers treat her cruelly. The story shows how gentle Midori is mistreated by villains and forced to do awful jobs, including one extremely disturbing scene where she's attacked. The movie was extremely controversial for its dark, cruel content. A man slays puppies and then assaults Midori on screen. Because of this, Japanese authorities banned it outright. It was never approved for public release in Japan. For many years, it could only be seen on rare bootleg tapes or underground screenings. Eventually, it found a small audience abroad where it was subtitled, becoming a notorious cult film. Strange fact, it was animated using stop-motion puppets and glass eyes from Midori, giving it a haunting handmade look. Kite, 1998, Japan, directed by Yasuomi Umetsu. This is a Japanese anime action thriller about a teenage girl named Sawa who becomes an assassin for a corrupt detective. The plot is violent and has an especially shocking scene involving a young girl. Because of this underage assault scene, Norway banned Kite completely. Under Norwegian law, it was considered child pornography to show that scene. Other countries did not officially ban the film, but it has been very hard to find. Many video releases had that scene cut out or edited. Viewers around the world who saw it were upset or disturbed by the violence, so it gained a forbidden reputation. Later, Kite was officially released in places like the US with an adult rating, and it became known as a gritty cult anime for older teens. Interesting fact, Kite was so controversial that even famous director Steven Spielberg saw it and later used its art director for Avatar decades later. Perfect Blue, 1997, Japan, directed by Satoshi Kon. In this psychological thriller, a teenage pop singer tries to leave her pop group to become an actress, but she is stalked by a fan and starts to lose her grip on reality. The plot involves mysterious murders, intense chase scenes, and frightening imagery as the heroine struggles with a doppelganger. The film was controversial due to its mature themes. It includes a very upsetting sexual assault scene and much violence. It was never officially banned, but many countries gave it an NC-17 rating or refused to show it uncut because of the scene where a character is violently attacked in an apartment. Audiences found these scenes quite scary. Later, Satoshi Kon's fans named Perfect Blue a masterpiece, and it became a cult classic that influenced many thrillers, including Hollywood. Fun fact, the movie's plot about identity and TV mirrors some real-life pop star scandals, and its director Kon Satoshi made several other famous mind-bending animations. Mulan, 1998, USA, Disney. Mulan is an adventure musical based on the Chinese legend of a young woman who disguises herself as a soldier to save her country. It follows Mulan's journey from clumsy village girl to brave warrior, with songs and a sidekick dragon. The movie stirred up controversy in Asia. Because Disney used animators from Taiwan, the Chinese government wouldn't officially release it in China for many years. Also, in Malaysia, it was banned for a time because of a scene with demons. Islamic law forbids such images. In other places, Chinese officials criticized it for historical inaccuracies. However, there was no permanent worldwide ban. After the initial stir, it was eventually shown on home video in those countries and became one of Disney's well-loved princess stories. Surprising fact, Eddie Murphy voiced Mulan's funny dragon sidekick Mushu, who was added to appeal to American audiences. Aladdin, 1992, USA, Disney. This animated musical fairy tale follows a clever street urchin who finds a magic lamp and must outwit an evil sorcerer to win the princess. At release, Aladdin was criticized by some Muslim groups for portraying Middle Eastern culture as barbaric. Disney even had to change lyrics in the song Arabian Nights. It's barbaric, but hey, it's home was changed to avoid offense. While no country fully banned the movie, some local censored versions altered or cut content to be more respectful. Western audiences mostly loved the movie, but there was debate abroad about stereotypes and religion. Later, it became a massive hit and animated classic. Interesting tidbit. Robin Williams improvising as the genie set a new standard for animated comedy on film. The Lion King, 1994, USA, Disney. This Disney film tells the epic story of Simba, a young lion cub who loses his father and must reclaim his kingdom. It had some controversies, but no official bans. In the 1990s, a few religious groups in the West even claimed it had hidden Christian symbolism, like suggesting Simba as a Christ-like figure, but these were just rumors and not official. Some countries simply advise parental guidance because the movie has a scene where Scar's hyenas overthrow the king. The music and images can be intense. The film was pulled for TV reruns a couple of times for being too dark for very young kids, but was never banned. Ultimately, The Lion King became one of Disney's most beloved films worldwide, spawning Broadway shows and sequels. Fun fact, a few lucky fans helped record real hyena calls for authenticity, but the famous villain's laugh was provided by comic actor Nathan Lane. Thumbelina, 1994, USA, directed by Don Bluth. This fantasy cartoon is about a tiny girl who befriends fairies and tries to escape the clutches of an evil fairy and some strange little creatures. The movie itself wasn't banned, but some adult critics felt certain fairy tale scenes were a bit too mature or creepy for kids. For example, a group of goblins play a song that, in some versions, had been misunderstood as suggestive by younger viewers. No government officially blocked it, though it was not as popular as other Don Bluth films. In public reaction, people mostly talked about how it had an old-fashioned storybook style and a moral lesson about believing in oneself. Today it's mostly remembered by fans of 90s animation. Surprise fact, pop singer Charo, from that 70s show, performed the Goblins' rock song at one point in the film. The Rugrats Movie, 1998, USA, Klasky, Shupo. This animated comedy follows the babies from the Rugrats TV show as they go on a wild adventure involving a dinosaur and a long-lost grandfather. The plot is light and meant for children, with humor about toddlers. The movie itself did not face any bans. It was widely released and became Nickelodeon's first big feature film. There were no major controversies. Parents noted a few gross-out jokes, like baby boogers, but nothing serious. Reviews were mixed, but kids enjoyed it. Later, it proved popular enough to spawn a sequel. Fun fact, it was the first animated film on a major network to open in #1 at the box office on its release weekend.